reefs, no? So what are corals? Yes, they are animals, no? Mga animals ito. They live in association with what we call zoox or zooxanthellae. It lives in their tissues in a symbiotic relationship. So it is very important to them. So we will discuss the biology of corals. The environmental requirements, kasi may mga environmental requirements that favor growth of these corals. And then, actually, my topic on coral is two parts, no? So this is the first part, the biology and ecology of corals. Sa second part, we will discuss different life forms of corals kasi ang corals maraming mga colony forms. May branching, merong massive, foliaceous, leaf-like, no? Meron din silang columnar, merong solitary, meron ding parang table-like corals. And then we will also discuss coral restoration kasi medyo uso siya ngayon. Coral restoration techniques. So we have gone beyond actually cutting branches, no, of corals and then replanting them. Ang mga state-of-the-art methods ngayon is using sexually produced corals. Kasi mas resilient yan sa climate change, sa mga disturbances, no? So, and lastly, assessment ng corals. Kasi when you do restoration and conservation, dapat we can assess, no, the health of the corals. So, yung coral cover, identification of corals. Baka some of you have already experienced on this. Baka work ng iba. So, madali lang naman siya. We can do it as part of the community or kung scientific, medyo syempre mas maraming colony forms ang gagamitin at saka mas stringent ang method. So anyway, we start the lecture. Let me share my screen. Okay. Good morning. Our new topic will be on coral reefs. So, what are coral reefs? You know, a vast region of the tropics. The shallow inshore waters are dominated by the formation of coral reefs. And such reefs are often used to define the limits of the tropical marine environment. So, in other words, the reef, if you look at the dictionary, it will tell you that reefs are elevated platforms. No? So, the presence of such reefs will define the limits of the tropical environment. So, in other words, they are only found in the tropical environment. They are estimated to occupy about 600,000 square miles of the Earth. And that is about 0.70% of the total area of the planet. So here, if you look at the world map, the red portion are those that have the reefs. And usually this is the boundary of the tropical area. And notice that there are many reefs here in this region, in the Indo-Pacific region, and the absence of reef here in western coast of South America and Africa, even though it is within the tropical region. See, most coral reefs within the tropical region, and notice the absence of reefs in the southwest coast of Africa and South America. Why? Because there is what you call upwelling of cold, nutrient-rich water. And also there are a lot of major rivers here that brings fresh water down to the sea, lowering the salinity. Okay? So coral reefs have the greatest diversity per unit area of any marine ecosystem. And it was estimated that 4.5% of all species, or about 91,000, are found on coral reefs. And reefs are globally significant in that about half the calcium that enters the world ocean each year is taken up and bound into coral reefs as calcium carbonate. And since each bound calcium atom requires a molecule of carbon dioxide, reef also remove about tons of carbon per year. So this means that coral reefs are significant to the continuing health of the marine environment and the plant because they are a carbon sink. Reefs are also among the most productive system in the marine environment and have existed for hundreds of millions of years. So matagal na sila, no? Matagal na ang mga corals, coral animals, and the reefs. But despite their very long history and ability to create massive structures built by living organisms, so the reefs are built by corals. And then so the living corals are, but even though they are existed throughout long evolutionary history, they are still very sensitive to a number of anthropogenic man-made and natural influences. So matagal na sila, pero sa isang iglap, mga anthropogenic disturbances, pwede silang mawala. Coral reefs are unique in that they are built up entirely by biological activity. So the reefs are essentially massive deposits of calcium carbonate produced primarily by corals. Phylum Cnidaria, class Anthozoa, order Scleractinia. So yung mga hard corals, they are called Scleractinian corals kasi mga hard corals, they produce calcium carbonate. And then the reefs, there are also contributions from calcareous algae and other organisms that secrete calcium carbonate. So if these algae die and shelled animals, they also contribute to reef formation. All the corals are found throughout the oceans of the world, in polar and temperate waters, as well as in the tropics. It is only in the tropics that reefs achieve their greatest development and diversity. Kung sa mga temperate area, they have mga soft corals, hindi reef-forming corals, hindi nagsisikret ng calcium carbonate. So dito lang sa tropical area that you can find coral reefs. So there are two different groups of corals. You have hermatipic and ahermatipic corals. So hermatipic, those that are found here, the Philippines and other tropical countries are those that produce reefs. Ahermatipic, on the other hand, do not form reefs. So hermatypic corals are distributed worldwide, around the world, but hermatypic found only in tropical regions. And a major distinction between the two is that most hermatypic corals have in their tissue small symbiotic cells called zoox or zooxanthellae, whereas a hermatypic corals do not have these zoox. So the zoox live in the mesodermal tissue of the corals, nando siya sa tissues nun, and it is a symbiotic relationship between two different species. You have the corals and the zoox, which is actually a dinoflagellate that we already discussed in the phytoplankton. Okay, the zoox is very important to the health of these corals, as we shall see later. Okay, there are limiting factors that limit coral reef development. You have there one, temperature, depth, light, salinity, sedimentation, and emergence into air. So they occur only in the tropical area. So kailangan warm temperature. So reef development occurs only waters where the mean annual temperatures are about 23 to 25 degrees centigrade. But some corals can tolerate up to about 36 to 40 degrees. But generally warm temperature. So as I showed earlier, there are reefs are absent in southwest coast of South America and Africa, but although they still lie within the tropical zone, it is because in the west coast of these continents there are strong upwelling of cold water. In other words, there is a cold nutrient-rich water from the bottom goes up, so it cools the temperature there. So it reduces the temperature of the shallow waters. So, walang reef development. Kasi malamig yung tubig kahit na nasa tropical region. We already discussed in introduction to marine science about upwelling. And upwelling is due to the north flowing cold currents. That keeps the temperature down. You have the Peru current on the South American coast and Benguela current of West Africa. So together they lower the temperature in those areas. And also merong mga influx of fresh water from the Niger and Congo rivers. Mga major rivers yan that contributes fresh water going into the sea. Ayaw ng corals na nalolower yung salinity. Okay, again, this is for example, in the South America, you have the Peru current, cold Peru current, and the Benguela current in West Africa, which contributes to this upwelling. So, bottom cold, nutrient-rich water is upwelled, it goes up. Because the surface water is veered away from the coast, it causes cold, bottom, nutrient-rich water to go up. Contributes to lowering of the temperature in these areas. Coral reefs are also limited by depth, and that is related to light penetration. Reefs do not develop in waters deeper than 50 to 70 meters. And most reefs grow in depths of 25 meters or less. That's why the scuba diving
aside from being dangerous, you should not go into deep areas kasi wala naman ng corals eh, madilim na. So, less corals, kaya aside from being dangerous. This depth restriction due to the corals requirement for light. Actually, hindi naman yung coral ang nangangailangan ng light kung hindi yung zoox na symbiotic sa kanila. No? So depth is related to light, which is also one of the most important limiting factors for coral reef development. So sufficient light must be available to allow photosynthesis by the zoox that is symbiotic within the coral tissue. Without sufficient light, photosynthesis by the zoox is limited and also hinders their ability to secrete calcium carbonate and hence to produce reefs. Another factor that restricts coral reef development is salinity. They are purely marine organisms that thrive in normal seawater of around 32 to 35 ppd. And they are very intolerant of low salinities. Kaya absent siya sa mga may maraming river. Like here in Pinmale, we have lots of mangroves, but there are absence of reefs kasi maraming mga river tributaries. No? Di lang yan. So they lower the salinity, then they also contribute to turbidity. No? Kasi the rivers, you know, that they contain a lot of particles, silt. No? So wherever inshore waters are subject to continuing influxes of fresh water from river discharge, salinity is lower, then so reefs will be absent, and not only that, because of the turbidity brought about by the river discharge. Kaya kahit dito sa atin, sa Pilipinas, mas maraming reefs dun sa mga malalayo sa major islands, no? So usually nandun siya sa mga maliliit na isla away from mainland. For example, along large portion of the Atlantic coast of South America, where you have the Amazon and Orinoco rivers, they discharge lots of fresh water. So walang reefs doon. Okay? Often correlated with freshwater runout is the factor of sedimentation. Yun nga, kasi in rivers, mataas ang turbidity or sedimentation. Or the corals can remove limited amounts of sediments. No? They remove it by nagsisecrete sila ng mucus and then they slough it off, no, by ciliary action. Pero pag sobra yon, masasmother sila, matatabunan sila, so they won't survive. So they cannot withstand heavy sedimentation, which overpowers their ability to clean themselves. So it clogs them or smothers them. Sediment in water also reduces the light, no? Or photosynthesis by the zoox in the coral tissue. So, as a result, coral reef development is reduced or absent in areas of high turbidity. In general, coral reef development is greater in areas subject to moderate wave action. Kailangan may moderate water movement din. Because it brings in oxygenated seawater, preventing sedimentation and settling on the colonies, and also brings food to the coral colony. Okay? Finally, coral reefs are developing in an upward direction by emergence into air. Ayaw nila na na-expose sila sa air. They are very much affected by that. Kaya they are never found in the intertidal area. Always in the subtidal area. Yung kahit na low tide, they are submerged. Kasi ngayon, gusto kasi ngayon yung mga coral transplantation. I have seen a lot of projects na ginagawa nila yung pag-attach ng corals out of water sa mga coral nursery units, or even transporting them out of water in bangkas, boats. That is very dangerous for the corals. So their upward growth is limited to the level of the lowest tides. Kailangan lagi silang submerged, never exposed to air. They're very sensitive to that. So if you're going to do coral transplantation work, all activities must be done underwater. So coral reefs, meron silang ecological importance. They provide shelter to the many fishes, vertebrates, and substrate for its resident organisms. Maraming isda dyan, no? And serve as breeding and feeding grounds for various fish, vertebrates, and microorganisms. They play an important role in maintaining the quality of local waters kasi na-filter ang water. As it goes through the reefs, water currents circulating over and within coral reefs are filtered as the reef system uses the inorganic minerals, oxygen, organic detritus, and plankton carried by water current. Also, reefs protect the coastline from erosion. Actually, pag merong typhoon, reefs ang naunang affected, no? Then you have the seagrasses, no? And also the mangroves towards the coast. Many biological principles and phenomena are exhibited and illustrated in the reef area, making it a rich source of educational materials and excellent area for research. So it's an outside laboratory for student learning in ecology, as a matter of fact. Socioeconomic importance, it contributes about 25% to the total fish production of the Philippines and a source of livelihood for many fishers. Earns millions of pesos from the export of food and aquarium fish. You know, we are number one in the world when it comes to export of marine fishes, marine aquarium fish, not freshwater fish. Sad to say, those are all collected from the wild. No? So dapat merong sustainable, hindi no over-harvest ng marine aquarium fish. Shells and seaweed, we're also a top exporter of seaweeds. And others, no? Provide raw materials for medicine and for the biotechnology industry kasi marami ngayon na-discover na mga molecules from or drugs coming from marine organisms. For instance, yung cone snail na meron siyang venom, no? Na-characterize nila yon. And then now it is developed into a potent drug for pain reliever. No? Mga Filipino scientists ang nakagawa. They are known in the world. Also serves as traditional source of building materials. Limestones extracted from reefs is commonly used as feeding material and as cement mix. So, yung limestone niya nahalo sa cement. Structure of corals. Corals belong to phylum Cnidaria, which includes such diverse forms as jellyfish, hydroids, the freshwater hydra, and sea anemones. So they belong to phylum Cnidaria. Corals and sea anemones are members of the same class, Anthozoa. They differ primarily in that corals secrete an external skeleton made of calcium carbonate, whereas anemones do not. So, familiar naman kayo kay sa anemone, sa Nemo, no, na movie. So they belong to the same class, Anthozoa. Corals may be colonial, most of them, no, or solitary. Almost all hermatypic corals are colonial with the various individual coral animals or polyps. So one animal is called a polyp. They occupy little cups or corallites in the massive skeleton. Each cup or corallite has a series of sharp, blade-like sclerosepta rising from the base. And the pattern of the septa differs for different species and used as taxonomic tool to distinguish among coral species. We will discuss this closely. No? So, in the picture, these are the various coral polyps. So one coral polyp is one coral animal. Here. And one polyp has tentacles surrounding a mouth. They also have a stomach cavity, and then they occupy, excuse me, class. So they occupy little cups called corallite. And then, at the base of this corallite, you have yung mga ngipin na yan, sclerosepta, which are very different for each species and they are used for identification. So yung mga coral taxonomies, mabusisi kasi ang mag-identify ng corals kasi they look the same. If you're just looking underwater, they look very much the same. Kaya hindi ka paniwala yung mga nag-identify ng corals just because of outside appearance. Actually, ang hirap nila ng anuhin. So, aawayin ka ng mga taxonomist if you claim to be identifying corals based on external appearance. Okay? Okay, sandali lang class. Okay. So, this is an anatomy of the coral. They have a mouth surrounded by tentacles. No? They occupy little cups called corallites, and then at the base of the corals you have these septa, which are different from each species. So they have two modes of nutrition actually. They filter feed plankton, and then some extra food by the photosynthesizing dinoflagellate. They contribute also to the health of the corals, the nutrition of corals. And then in corals, kaya minsan the divers are required to wear wetsuits. Aside from nakaka-warm ng body, it serves as protection. The wetsuit serves as protection for the nematocysts. So you see here the net tentacles have various nematocysts which are stinging cells. No? Makati yan, o minsan mahapdi pag na-rub off mo yung mga corals, because that is their defense mechanism. So tentacles with nematocysts. And then, okay, so here you see live corals. No? can see here, if the coral is alive, merong, you see the coral polyp extending the tentacles, and they're very colorful. Pero pag namatay na yung coral, what you see is this empty corallites. So ito yung nakikita natin sa mga display. The sclerosepta of the skeletal cup alternate with the internal septa of the gastrovascular cavity of the coral. So each polyp or coral animal is a three-layered animal. Around the mouth is a series of tentacles that have batteries of stinging cells or capsules called nematocysts. Ginagamit din yan ng mga animals to capture their zooplankton food. At saka defense mechanism din nila yan para hindi sila nakakain mga other predators. Okay, the symbiotic zoox, actually, they are dinoflagellates. No? They are found intracellularly in the gastodermal layer, the gastodermis of the corals. The coral colonies grow by having the polyps bud off new polyps asexually. So ang corals, they reproduce two ways, asexually and sexually. So pag nag-bud off ang isang polyp, o tumubog isang polyp, nag-bud off, that's a sexual method of reproduction. And you can even cut it, no? And the branch will grow, provided na maganda yung conditions. That's a sexual method. They also have a sexual method wherein they release eggs and sperm from other colonies, no? Fertilize, and it develops into a planula larva. So new colonies are established by the fragmentation of skeletal pieces. Of fragmentation, pinutol, that's the sexual method. And also through the settlement of this planula larva, which is the result of sexual reproduction. Later, I will show how corals are propagated in the hatchery for coral transplantation. Kasi nagpa-pioneering ang Philippines sa coral transplantation using sexually produced corals, no? Hindi na sila nagpuputol-putol, sexually produced corals in the hatchery. Mas marami kasi yon. Tsaka maganda sa sexual reproduction, there is more fitness of the larvae. Parang there is genetic differentiation, which makes the larvae more adaptable to climate change. Okay. Here are tentacles surrounded with stinging cells called nematocysts. The orange tube coral, Tubastria, showing the stinging cells or nematocysts. Okay, this is a figure showing the zoox, no, under the microscope. At the right, you see zooxanthellae, which are actually dinoflagellates. They are photosynthetic. Then they send off additional food, nutrition to the larva, to the corals. No? This is a young coral with this symbiotic zoox. Ang symbiosis ito both benefit from the association. No? Kasi symbiosis is an association between two different forms, and it can take three forms, no? Sa ecology, remember, it could be mutualism, could be parasitism, and then the other one is we will discuss later if I can remember. So zoox are dinoflagellates. It also supplies food to the corals in order for them to grow and produce quickly and create ribs. And also the zooks, because of their pigments, dahil photosynthetic yan, they impart color to the corals. Kaya magaganda ang mga corals. No? Pag nawala yung mga corals sa kanila, namumuti yung mga corals. And that's what nagiging may sakit yung mga corals, and then that's what you call coral bleaching. Namumuti yung mga corals. Especially, nangyayari yan during episodes of El Nino, pag sobrang init, maraming namumuting corals. Okay? Let's go to types of reefs. In general, coral reefs are grouped into one of three categories. You have atolls, barrier reefs, and fringing reefs. Ang nag-devise nito si Charles Darwin, no? Atolls are usually distinguished because they are modified horseshoe-shaped reefs that rise out of very deep water far from mainland and enclose a lagoon. So this lagoon may contain lagoon reefs or patch reefs. With few exceptions, atolls are found only in the Indo-Pacific area. So ito ang itsura ng atoll. Okay? The next is barrier reefs and fringing reefs, on the other hand, tend to grade into each other and not readily separable. Both types occur adjacent to a landmass, with the barrier reef being separated from the landmass by greater distance and deeper water channel than the fringing reefs. So, okay, I will show a clearer figure later. Fringing, most of the coral reefs in the Philippines are fringing reefs. And barrier reefs are common throughout the coral reef zones in all oceans. The largest barrier reef is the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. They are well known for that, which stretches for almost 2,000 kilometers along the eastern coast of Australia from New Guinea to just north of Brisbane. Second largest barrier reef is that in the Yucatan Peninsula in Belize. So, ganito yan. So, there is a volcanic island. Tapos remember yung lahat ng mga factors for coral reef development, like temperature, salinity, no? Perfect sa kanya. So, nag-grow yung corals around the volcanic island. So, you call that a fringing reef. So fringing reefs lie near emergent land. They are fairly narrow and recently formed. Now, lumubog yung volcanic island, no, nag-sink gradually. And then, yung corals nag-grow pa rin, no? Kasi dahan-dahan yung sinking ng volcanic island, kaya nag-grow pa siya. And then now you have there a lagoon inside here. So you call this a barrier reef around the volcanic island, the sinking volcanic island. And now, further subsidence of the land causes an atoll. So you see, lumubog na yung volcanic island, pero yung coral reefs were able to keep pace kasi dahan-dahan yung sinking, nag-develop siya upward, no? Saan ba tumutubo yung corals? Kundi sa mga dating corals na namatay, they just build on top of each other. Okay? So, here, in this case, there is a lagoon in the middle. Okay, this is the Great Barrier Reef. Medyo mahaba sa kanila. And then, now let's discuss the origin of reefs. So different types of reefs and reefs in the different oceans may have diverse origins and histories. So the greatest interest in the origin of reefs have centered on atolls. So for many years, humans speculated how such reefs could develop out of such deep water. Kasi sa malalayo yan eh, away from mainland yung atoll. No? Kung meron man atoll, sa mga malalayong isla yan. That's why nagsisink nga yun, di ba, yung volcanic island. How, they wondered how such reefs could develop out of such deep water miles from the nearest mainland. So this led to the development of several theories concerning the origin of the atolls. And one that stood to the test was that of Darwin. Charles Darwin, during his 5-year voyage on the Beagle. Kasi at mga 18-something to, no? Could you imagine, sila Charles Darwin, they just nagsa-scientific voyage na sila. Just for the sake of learning, no? So during his 5-year voyage on board the Beagle, so he had the opportunity to study reefs in several areas. Nakita niya lahat. Yung mga reefs, atoll, fringing, at saka barrier reefs, no? So according to his theory, atolls are created when fringing reefs begin to grow on shores of new volcanic islands, no, that have pushed to the surface from deep water. And then these islands begin to subside. No? And if the subsidence is not too fast, dahan-dahan lang, reef growth will keep pace up with the subsidence of the paglubog ng volcanic island, forming next a barrier reef. And finally, pag lalong nag-disappear pa yung island sa deep water, pero yung coral reefs patuloy na nakaka-grow pataas, then you have an atoll. So ganito ay itsura, no? So kita nyo sa atoll, lumubog na talaga yung volcanic island, pero yung corals were able to keep pace. Nag-grow siya on top of the volcanic island. So nakita lahat yan ni Charles Darwin, no? Galing niya, no? For a scientific voyage, no? And ano ang mechanism ba't naglumulubog? You remember yung sa ating introduction sa marine science, sa geological oceanography, you have two plates moving away from each other, or what you call divergent plate boundary. No? Habang tumatagal kasi nagkukul yung plate away from yung mga yung nagkukul yung plates away from divergent plate boundary, and then habang nagkukul yon, nagsisink siya. Minipis kasi malayo na sa magma, no? You know, you're familiar naman with the moving continents, then the formation of new oceanic plates, no? Kaya lumalapat yung some ocean basins, at meron din namang lumiliit na oceans because of plates colliding with each other, forming trenches, no? So yan yung cause kung bakit lumulubog yung volcanic island. So when the islands has disappeared, corals continue to grow outside and keep the reef at the surface. So you have atolls. On the inside, where the island used to be, whitewater conditions and high sedimentation prevail. So nagkakaroon ng lagoon inside the atoll. So this theory links all the three reef types in an evolutionary sequence according to Charles Darwin. Pero meron, no? May continuation, but it is not an explanation for all fringing and barrier reef types. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Sa, halimbawa dito sa northwestern Luzon, we have the Hundred Islands and then the Bolinao Reef System. No? They are fringing reefs. So, Ang tanong, lahat ba ng fringing reefs eventually magiging barrier and eventually magiging atoll? No? Yun ang sinasabi niya, but it is not an explanation for all fringing and barrier reef types. In other words, yung 100 islands will never be atolls because the land is not sinking. The mainland is not sinking. Okay? Usually, yung mga atolls nagde-develop sa malalayong volcanic islands na nag-gradually sink. Then probably your next question is, do we have atolls in the Philippines? Yes, we do. Tubataha is an atoll. It's a twin atoll. Kasi, malayo siya sa mainland Palawan. So, the Tupadaha Reefs is an atoll. Okay, kaya nag-studio yung theory ni Darwin kasi may scientific explanation pa na ngayon lang na discover, no? So to test Darwin's theory, it must be assumed that drilling down through the current atoll reefs would yield layer after layer of limestone until finally volcanic rock will be encountered. So the ability to drill reefs to the base of the atoll reefs was not done until mid 20th century o mga last century, no? Kasi nag-drill ng reefs. So in 1953, the first drilling on Eniwetok Atoll, Marshall Islands, reported 1,283 meters of limestone. Then finally, they hit volcanic rock. And that is published by Ladd et al. In 1953. So ganito yon, no? I'll show you a figure later. And then also, merong hindi nakita si Charles Darwin na mga flat-topped, submerged mountains or guyots that are present below the ocean surface but have thin layer of corals on top. Ibig sabihin, tinubuan itong mga islands na ito, volcanic islands na tinubuan ng corals, kaya lang yung pag-sink niya masyadong mabilis, hindi naka-keep pace yung coral reef by growing. Kaya lumubog na siya. Okay? Hindi nakita yun ni Charles Darwin. Siyempre, of course, it is submerged. So, pasok pa rin siya sa theory, no? Ito yung Eniwetok Atoll na dinrill nila in 1953. Ang theory here is that this is the volcanic island, ano? This is the volcanic island. And this is the coral reef. If they will drill here, sabi nila, pag nag-drill dito, you will touch on limestone, hundreds of meters of limestone until you will hit volcanic rock to test Darwin's theory. So truly, yun nga yung nangyari, they were able to drill limestone and finally they hit volcanic rock. Usually yung drilling operations, ginagamit yan sa mga paghanap ng fuel, no? Kaya may available yung technology in the last century sa oil exploration. So these are the different reefs. So you have new volcanic islands, tinubuhan ng corals, and then it sank, it became a fringing reef. Finally, it became an atoll. Pero ito yung hindi nakita ni Charles Darwin, yung mga flat-top guyots. Pero may mga manipis na coral growth sa ibabaw. Kaya lang, yung sinking ng volcanic island was too fast. So he never saw it because it's underwater. So although the subsidence theory links all three reef types, not all barrier and fringing reefs can be explained by this mechanism. Indeed, the reasons barrier and fringing reefs occur around continental margins in high non-volcanic islands are simply that these areas offer suitable conditions for reef growth. and a suitable substrate to initiate growth. Sabihin, hindi lahat ng fringing reefs eventually lulubog. Kasi lalo na kung sa mainland, maganda naman ang conditions, like in 100 Islands. Medyo malayo nga siya sa bahagya sa landmass, sa mga isla doon. But it's not sinking, no? The islands are not sinking. So, they will always remain to be fringing reefs. Okay, to Bataha, it's a protected area, no? In the middle of the Sulu Sea. And it is now regarded as a World Heritage Site. So it contains about 600 species of fishes, 360 coral species, and others. So it's a twin atoll, regarded as World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1992, and further extended. So let's look at the composition of the reef. So discuss natin puro corals, but there are also some contributions to other shelled animals and even calcareous algae. Although corals are the main organisms that form the basic reef structure, there is a wide array of other organisms associated with reefs, such that these areas are the most diverse and species-rich area that exists in the marine environment. Members of all phyla and classes may be found on reefs. In addition to the stony corals or scleractinian corals, or shall we say hard corals, certain other cnidarians contribute to the reef. These include relatives of the corals called gorgonians or sea fans, and sea whips. Ito yung tinatawag nilang black coral na mahal sa black market. They're particularly conspicuous on Atlantic reefs. Ito, no? Kasi when these organisms die, yung calcium carbonate nila nasi-cement din doon sa reefs. The soft corals are very common in the Indo-Pacific and may be more abundant than the stony corals in some areas. Okay, mga soft corals, ito yung walang calcium carbonate. The coralline algae, kasi may mga algae or seaweeds na nagsisecrete ng calcium carbonate, like the Halimeda, a type of green algae, Martian chalk, no? Yung this red algae. Yung coralline algae, meron din namang mga algae na parang pakalat sa rock. No? Parang crust siya, parang kumakalat siya sa rock. We call this also coralline algae. This is a type of red algae that precipitate calcium carbonate. But the algae are encrusting, pakalat yung kanyang root form. Kinukuperan niya yung substrate, spreading out in thin layers over the reef, cementing various pieces together. So nakakatulong siya sa reef formation. Ito yung mga coralline algae or crustose coralline algae. So parang tumutulong siya ng pag-cement ng reefs. These are also very important because these are settlement substrate for many organisms. Yung mga larvae dyan nagsisettle eh. Yung mga molecules dyan na nadedetect sila na very nakaka-initiate ng metamorphosis. So they settle and begin metamorphosis. Sila, the green algae, like the Halimeda, are non-encrusting. They grow erect and secrete calcium carbonate. So together with the corals, the coralline and calcareous green algae make up the three dominant calcium carbonate secreting organisms of the reef. Yung Halimeda, ganyan ang itsura niya. Matitigas sila na algae kasi nagsisecrete ng calcium carbonate. So they also contribute to reef development. So there are many species of this green algae. Significant contributions to calcium carbonate are also made by mollusks. No? They are shell forming of various types, like the giant clams, Tacna SP and Hippocus SP, like these giant clams, like Tacna maxima, no? They also contribute to reef development, and also they are colorful because in their tissues you can also find zooxanthellae that provides the clam with nutrition. So they interfeed, and also additional food is given by the zoox inside their tissues, just like corals. Then giant clams are absent sa Atlantic reefs. Dito lang sa atin na marami niyan. Very small gastropods or shelled animals are also abundant from reefs. Also helps in reef development. Also echinoderms like sea urchins, sea cucumbers, starfish, and feather starfish, or the crinoids are also abundant and conspicuous species on reefs. Ito yung crown of thorns starfish. No? Actually, they are part of the reef system. Kaya lang ang problema, kinakain nila yung coral. So, this crown of thorns starfish, Acanthasta blancae, is a natural enemy of reefs. Actually, kung balance yan reef, okay lang yan. Kasi check and balance naman sila. No? Kaya lang nangyayari, nawala na yung mga predators nitong crown of thorns starfish, yung mga malalaking shell na ginagawang souvenir. So, dumadami sila. So, the divers and scientists, tinatanggal nila. Parang kinakal nila. Hindi naman lahat. Nilip sa behind. So, dati tinutusok nila ng dive knife. Ang nangyari, lalong dumadami. Kasi pag tinusok, lalong nangingitlog. Natatalino sila. That is their reproductive strategy. So they just release their eggs, no? Mas lalong dumadami. Now the technique is to remove them, put them in plastic crates or baskets, and then drive na lang doon sa coast, sa sandy area. Although various crustaceans, shrimps, and polychaete worms are very abundant. They're often inconspicuous kasi maliliit sila. And little is known about their function in the reef ecosystem. But I'm sure they also have their function or niche, logical niche. Various sponges are common, but they seem to play a minor role in reef construction. The only sponge contributing to construction are the sclerosponge. Ito parang gaya ng coralline algae, they help in cementing the reefs. And they are restricted to deeper slopes and in caves or overhangs where coral and calcification are low. So siliceous sponges, Demos spongiae, may however be important in holding coral and rubble together, preventing loss from the reef until they get diffused together by coral and algae. So nakakatulong din sila, no? Look at the growth of this sclerosponge, pakalat or encrusting. They help in cementing the reefs. And of course, these are basket sponge, phylum Porifera. Their skeletons are made of spicules, consisting of fibers of protein, spongy. So they are very beautiful, no? To see underwater. Basket sponge. The final large group, which is very conspicuous of reef, is the various coral reef fish. The number of fish species present can number in the hundreds, no? And occasionally thousands. Ang dami nila, iba-ibang colors, no? Bacteria are also abundant on reefs and are responsible for part of high productivity of reefs. Kasi they serve as food, no? As well as the decomposition and recycling of organic matter. Okay, these are the various coral reef fish examples. The Moorish idol, Xanthus cornutus. And then this is a bright yellow crinoid. Lionfish. Nerois volitans on the Pacific coral reef. The angelfish.
Good evening. That ends our lecture today. Any question? Do you have any question? So,
Wala naman po, sir.
how are you? Wala bang binigyan dyan
May
sa
tanong
inyo?
po.
Ito naman po sa amin, wala. Hello,
Who's
sir.
from Visayas?
Hello, sir.
Sino ang taga Visayas? Cebu or Iloilo? Kasi meron akong friend sa Facebook. Just now yung lakas daw ng ng ulan at sa Iloilo. Actually, the reason why I had my face-to-face meeting today because next week we will attend the films in Bacolod. So ako naman nang wala noon and mukhang sana may parating na bagyo no? So sana hindi siya ganun kalakas. Can you open your cam for for a photo op? Yan. Sige. Surigao. Sa Surigao, malakas ba ang dyan?
Tagapi po, sir.
Ano yun? It has something to do with the typhoon? Or, kasi ang typhoon ngayon ng niya eh. So, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, buti naman at okay kayong lahat. Okay, other panel. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, kung wala na, I will dismiss the class at enjoy the rest of the evening. Keep safe. Bye.
Bye-bye, sir.